adventure, ladies and gentlemen. Where's my guy that hadn't seen it? What'd you think? Perfect. See, I agree. It's flawless. So wonderful. And I always notice something new every time I see it. And the thing that struck me this time is that his dance in the biker bar is terrible. Like, if this was made today, you'd find out that he had this amazing dancing ability, and it was this choreographed thing, and he ended up on the roof, and no, let's move around. It's good. And then they love me. So one time, I was in Palm Springs, and I was with my children. I have some children. And we went to the Cabazon Dinosaurs. I'm sure you've all been to the Cabazon. Now, in the movie, the people who work at the Cabazon Dinosaur place believe in ghosts. In real life, the people who own the Cabazon Dinosaur place believe in stuff that's even weirder. They believe that dinosaurs came here in the 40s, and they've only been gone for 11 months. And so, I took my kids to the dinosaur, and I was like, oh, we have to go up into the head of the dinosaur, and it's in this movie, I've seen it, it's really, and you go up there and it's really small and cramped, and I realized, oh yeah, they probably just built a set. They probably didn't go into the head with a film crew. Are we all ready back there? Is everybody set to go? Well, if not, this is going to be tremendously disappointing. So, in the hopes that people are ready, let me introduce our esteemed panel, America's sweetheart in the role of Johnny, Miss E.G. Daily. She's so small. I'm going to go back and see who's not here, so I don't look foolish.
We'll go ahead and you're bringing them out one at a time, and we're collecting them all right now.
Okay.
I'd like to bring out E.G. We do have E.G.
Sure, well, yes, let's bring her out. Let's bring out the person I introduced, just as a goof. E.G. Daily, ladies and gentlemen. I know she's here. She might not be here. Here's a fun fact not a lot of people know. The little actor Kevin at the end of the movie, who's in the movie, he grew up to be Bono. And you might know this. The kids that are in the bicycle gang at Chuck's Bikerama all grew up to be the band Gwar. Have you ever seen the play Waiting for Godot? Well, let's see. I feel like one episode of The Price is Right. I'm either going to bring on whoever's next or the crew member in the box. Somebody I know back there. Is David Snyder back there? Can David Snyder come on out? Oh, come on out, Diane Salvatore. sit here. We'll go down. Have you guys ever met? Okay. Mike, come on up. This is Michael Varhal. He wrote the movie you just saw. Yeah, come on in. And as people may not know, Michael also known as Marilyn Manson. Little makeup, little wig. There should be, you're gonna. I was there the night Michael broke his hip. You know, the term an orgasm of shoddy planning is tossed around willy-nilly these days. And sure, 4 of these people are still in detention with the LA Sheriff's Department. But I'm pretty sure that ICE will release them in time for the Q&A. Are you guys good? We're all gonna come out, and then we're gonna do it. You good? Okay. Who's back here? Anybody else back here? Wow, I thought he was dead. Why is John Fogerty back there? You know what's funny? You might not know this. But when he was alive, Charles Manson was eligible for parole every 6 months. Rich Abramson, the producer of the film! Billy Weber, the editor of the film, David Snyder, the art director, and the Piano Brothers, Edward Stephen and Charles. It was easier getting the goddamn monkeys to reunite. Do we have everybody? Is Mark here? Is Mark here? I don't want to introduce him if he's not here, but there's going to be a riot. We got it? All right. No, they're nice. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good friend, Mark Holton. Is all the time we have. What I wanted to do is to move through the film by order of how it came to be. And we will talk to people as they came into the production. And then, since we're all here, what I thought would be a great idea is when we're done, we clear the chairs and we fight. And I have this because I want to be as much like James Lipton as possible. Is Dottie here tonight? And there's a microphone, there's a couple of microphones, so we'll be passing them around. Diane, you have one there. But my first question is for you. Rich, you produced the film. Did this come about, this came about obviously before the film was made. Pee Wee Herman was not, I mean, he was known, he was a cult figure. He wasn't a nationally known a celebrity. He had done an HBO, as far as people who didn't live in LA were concerned, he had done an HBO special, and he had been on Letterman. That was...
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're right.
Actually, to be quite honest with you, and I've run into David Letterman a few times over the years, because we've both been involved in racing, and I said I would be nowhere, and Paul would have been nowhere without David Letterman. David Letterman, the fact that David put him on the show, even before I got involved, and every 2 years, every 2 months, I mean, Paul would appear.
Yeah, I mean, Paul would appear on Letterman every 2 weeks, every 2 months he would go on.
Paul would appear on Letterman, and so what happened was, a great guy, unfortunately a bunch of people should be here tonight, but they passed away, including Paul, unfortunately, and, but we're all. And I can tell you quickly how it.
I, for a minute, thought that maybe some more people had passed away in between the beginning of the film and when I was supposed to bring them out.
If I could understand a word of what you said, I would try to answer it.
It's just me versus Killy McGee upstairs. So he's popular on Letterman, but somebody at Warner Brothers, did you go to Warner Brothers and say we want to do a movie, or how did that come about? Because that's a big jump from an HBO special and a couple of Lettermans to starring in a movie.
Well, what happened was I'm going to make this real quick. Bill McEwen and I, who was Steve Martin's manager, were stranded in Denver, Colorado for 5 days in a snowstorm. And Bill McEwen was in one room and I was in another room. They left us behind. We were doing test screenings for a Steve Martin movie called The Man with Two Brains. Oh, some people saw it. Not enough, but some people saw it. In any event, he called me up in the third or fourth night there, he called up and said, you got to turn on Letterman tonight. There's somebody you ought to see, and this is who we should work with, and this is who we should make into a movie star. And that's what we did. We met with Paul. He agreed to work with us, and then we took it around to different studios. Bill and I had deals with Universal and Warner Brothers. At Universal, unfortunately, the guy who was in charge of production lived next door to Paul when they both went to Cal Arts, and he hated his guts. Couldn't stand it. And so we couldn't do a deal at Universal. And we went over to Warner Brothers, who had actually stranded us in Denver for so long. And a guy named Bob Shapiro, who was the other producer along with myself. And we worked it, and we got them a place to write. I think a lot of people know this. How many people have seen this documentary? Didn't I look good in the documentary? In any event, we got them writing. We made a development deal with Warner Brothers. We took Paul on tour. 22 cities, sold out, ended up at the Universal Amphitheater. By that time the script was done. We handed the script to the two guys that were running Warner Brothers at the time, Bob Daly and Terry Semmel. Terry in the film is named after Terry. And within 2 or 3 days they said, let's just make it. Let's just make this film. They were so in love. This was done. We handed them the script after an appearance at the Universal Amphitheater, which was the last thing that we did, and the rest you know. So.
Michael, who I literally dragged onto the stage. Did you work with? It was Paul and Phil Hartman, and how were you a part of that trio?
You know, I had never, can you hear me? Yeah. I never heard of Pee Wee Herman, never heard of Phil Hartman, never heard of Paul Williams.
So you were the perfect man.
Yeah. And Rich Abramson
Right.
asked me, I was writing something with Christopher Guest, Spinal Tap.
Sure.
And I want to work on this, and I saw the Pee Wee Herman show, and I saw, the thing I saw about that show was, not only was it the way it was mounted, everything about it was just terrific and stuff. And, but one thing I saw about it is that it had heart.
Yeah.
Slow motion, when Pee Wee fly and stuff. I mean,
You gotta really stick on that mic, sorry. You're gonna do the Jim Morrison, and you're really gonna try.
so,
Yes, like that, thank you. But you're the one who, were you of the three the only one that really knew how to write a feature script? Because there's a story that they didn't know how to write a movie, so they bought Sid Field's screenplay and just literally went by the numbers. He uses the mic on page 10. First act ends on page 30. Second act ends on page 60. Was it literally that by the numbers?
No, it wasn't like that at all. The Sid Field book is, I wouldn't recommend that book for anybody. If you read Sid Field, you would never get a movie like this.
Sure.
It's a whole different thing.
I read Sid Haig's book about screenplays.
I don't recommend it.
But from what I understand, the original idea was to basically cast Pee Wee Herman and Pollyanna. Was that the original idea for this movie?
That was pretty far down the line, but that was the idea that, yes, that we sort of started, and we get more than like 2 pages into that or something.
Right.
When the Bible came into the picture. And that changed it. And what was really struggling with, everything just seemed to fall into place.
Yeah, it was the simplest plot motivator you could imagine, but it was all you needed.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's see, when Paul had his 22 city tour, Phil and I wrote the first draft of Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Right.
And then when Paul came back, the three of us got together and took it from page 1 and just did it page by page by page. And what we were just trying to figure out was what comes next.
Mhm.
And the idea of Sid Field's book, pages have different numbers.
Yeah.
I tried to do that, and I got, I couldn't do it. So I realized that this is the way to do it, and Phil and Paul felt the same way too. And so I'll tell you, if I wanted to say what Paul would do. When we came up with Trucker, the highway. I had heard through country music of
Sure.
Phantom 309.
Sure. Big Jim and Phantom 309.
Right. And
Let me sing it for you now.
so we started with that, and Phil wrote the scene, the Phantom 309, the trucker scene.
Right.
And the dialogue, that's all Phil Hartman.
Uh-huh.
But the trucker was a guy. He was Big Mac. He wasn't
It was a large barge.
He was Big Mac. And Paul came in one morning and he said, I don't guys in this thing. And so, a woman trucker, why not? And so then we had to try to figure out a name for it. And I said, how about Big Bertha? And then out of the blue, Phil said, how about Large Marge? Just laughed at that, and that's how we're gonna have Large Marge.
Well, the Large Marge scene is one of the most iconic moments in, not only in this movie, but just like in movies, in terms of modern comedies. These guys here did it. There's a great story about it, but this really isn't the time and place. E.G. I am gonna go to you, Edward, but I want to ask E.G. Daily a question first. I'm gonna string you along to get to what that is. Okay. I will get to it. People have a choice of hearing from E.G. Daily or watching you and I talk.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Thanks, guys.
There's looks and there's talent.
Oh, yeah.
I was saying, we're the looks, and they're the talent. See, irony, sometimes you say something blatantly false, and you underscore it to the point to make the opposite point. It's called sarcasm. Donnie is there. You're from here. You went to Beverly High School.
Yeah.